I just want to thank everyone for joining with us today. This is a meet and greet chance to meet a few of the people here for the Business Analytics program. My name is Meredith Richardson. I'm all the way in the back. I'm the admissions manager for the program, so I'm the one that you've communicated with if you've had questions about the application. I'm reviewing your interviews and your applications right now. Or I'm sorry, I reviewed your interviews and applications, and we've admitted you into the program. So we're really excited to have you join us and meet some of the key people. So we're going to kind of go around the room and have everyone just introduce who they are and what they do here. So we'll start with you guys.
Hi, I'm Yujia. I'm the GA for the BA program, and I'm also the student here. I graduated from UCSD, so nice to meet you.
Hi, I'm Randall. I'm also the current student and graduate assistant for this program this year, and I graduated from CSI University in China in statistics.
Hi, I'm Kamlesh Mathur. I'm a professor and chair of operations department, and I'm also the faculty co-director for the program.
My name is Adriana. I'm a full-time MBA student, but I'm currently helping the business analytics program, some coordinations for events and stuff.
Hi, I'm Matt Maloney. I'm the program director for the business analytics program, and I also have the same role for the operations research and supply chain master's program.
So really, this is just a chance for you guys to kind of meet a few of the key people, talk with students in the program, the faculty, the staff that will help you while you study here in the program. So this is really just a chance for you guys to kind of ask questions from our side to get as comfortable as possible. We have a lot of experiences with students coming over and wanting to know what are some key things they can work on while they come here, where are some places they can go or live, what are some of the courses like when you would be studying, do you need textbooks, things like that. So anything at all that you have questions about, we are completely here to help answer them. So anything that you have, you can unmute yourself and feel free to ask your question, or we prefer if you can have your video on, that'd be great. But if you can't, I understand, feel free to use the chat feature and type in your question too. We can definitely answer you that way as well. More people, yay! We like it when people join us.
Which are multiple.
All right.
It's fine. We got them.
Good morning or good evening.
Good evening, I guess.
Hold on, I just unmuted you, but I can't seem to hear you. Try talking again.
Maybe you can say his name.
No, we can't hear him.
We can't hear you. Can you hear us? Okay, we can't seem to hear you, which is okay. You can use the chat feature to type in your question, and we can answer it that way so you can hear us. Or check your, okay, check your settings too to make sure your microphone isn't muted. No, we want to see you.
He's going to the settings, maybe change.
Probably going to the settings. Oh, maybe I'm unmuted the wrong side.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Won't let me unmute.
That's not.
Wow.
Let's try them now.
Try, yeah.
Okay, try talking now.
Hey.
Yay, we can hear you.
Oh,
All right. Yay, we have Kyler. Okay, sorry to interrupt. Kyler is one of our alum from the business analytics program, so we'll let him get settled, but you had a question, so feel free to ask. We can hear you now. Awesome.
Okay, I think.
Zhangya, did you have a question for us?
I'm here.
Hi, did you have a question for us?
Well, Well, I want to know the analytics part of our program. How does it look like, and what kind of skills, or to what extent we can get in touch with real problems in the industry background.
You want to guys talk about your classes?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess you're talking about something like programming languages and technical knowledge, or something that related to our business practice, something. So basically we use SPSS, R, and we have Python and SQL workshop in our program. So during our classes, we try to apply some statistical models in SPSS and in R to try to fit in any business programs. Is this what you're looking for?
About Tableau.
And also Tableau try to visualize our results. So in order to tell a business story, to have more business insight, to simulate a situation for you to make a business decision, or help your manager to make a business decision. So that is our way to like simulate the business world.
Does that help answer your question?
Oh, well, yeah, it seems like it's a little bit abstract to hear from this kind of answer, and
Are you talking about like in the classroom project work specifically, and how they interact with industry? Because I know in the past, I don't know if you've gotten into it yet, we've had classes where you'll analyze real data working from companies that are local here. Mm-hmm. Maybe Kyla, who we have muted here, can talk about what they did last year if you guys haven't gotten to that yet this year.
Kyler.
Good morning.
Good morning, Kyler. I've unmuted you.
Good morning, everybody. Had a bit of a slow start this morning. I have to apologize.
Kyler, can you introduce who you are to these people?
Sure. My name is Kyla Schner. I'm a sales science analyst at Dealer Tire in Cleveland. I was a member of the Pioneer MSM-BA program, and I graduated in 2017. And I'm just hanging around. What's going on, guys?
Kyla, last year with your classwork, that we just had a question. I don't know if you caught it. They're asking more about how some of the different things you'll learn are applied, and if there was real life learning, I believe, if I understood the question correctly. Could you talk to a little bit how you guys interacted with industries such as American Greetings, and had, I believe, interaction with Allison and others there regularly through one of the classes working with real life data?
Absolutely. It was really one of the highlights of the program, in my opinion. The industry representatives that came in to talk to us were knowledgeable. They had real problems to kind of deliver to us and see how we might react in their situation, in their scenarios that they see on a daily basis. But I'd say the program really fixated heavily on the presentation of the findings, the conversion of the information into insights and useful, actionable information. Everybody in the cohort, every student was technically savvy and analytical in their mind. It was about delivering those analytics in like a useful way that some Joe Blow or a management or executive leadership could interpret, decide how to use, and then go ahead and execute on. So I'd say a lot of our dealings with the industry leaders, my video might cut out a little bit. A lot of our dealings with industry was, okay, they're going to give us a little bit of a problem, a real to life problem. We're going to go take it and work on it, whether it's individually or in groups. And then we're going to come back and we're going to try to explain our findings to, the person that originally came up with the problem, that's working live with the real data on a day-to-day basis. And I'd say we learned a lot. I'd say it was probably our weakest, as a collective group, that was our biggest weakness, was the presentation, the clear presentation of our findings and making things intelligible. But it's where we grew the most. It's where we learned the most. And we took away exactly what those industry leaders, Rosetta, American Greetings. We had people come in from Goodyear. We had people come in from, what was that? Mike Fisher was from Microsoft. It was doing our Python workshop. There was, there's a number of people and plenty of people that we interacted with that wasn't in the classroom, right? But anyway, they all wanted the same thing. Can you tell the story? And when I got my job here, it was the same thing. I'm at Dealer Tire, executive level leadership. They can understand the details, but they want the story. They want to know what they need to do. What's my action item? What did you find out, right?
Adriana, can you talk a little bit about the mentorship program?
Yes. So so the program has started this initiative about mentorship. So we pair students with people outside, like in the industry. So we have a couple mentors from Progressive and from Marcus Thomas and a bunch of companies. I'm sure, I think Dealer Tire is also one of them, and American Greetings and Goodyear.
Nielsen too.
Nielsen and Racer, Sapien.
Fish.
So we have a couple of like mentors and we pair students with them. We try to do it based on which area they want to go to specifically, and it's a great opportunity to network, to visit companies, to even gain feedback for interviews and resume, and getting to know kind of like corporate America, and seeing, because some of them are also international, they can also share their experience of how to like kind of like that cultural shock of what is it like here, what is it like, and just kind of like guide you to be more like successful, I would say, in a U.S. workforce, and so it's very geared toward your professional and career goals and success. But they also, I mean, from what I've seen, they also care a lot about the individual per se. So just making an emphasis on hobbies and how you're going to spend your time, or getting to know Cleveland, or getting together for coffee or something. So there are some like formal events that we host, but I think it's also a lot about your initiative to form a good relationship with that mentor, and therefore starting to create your like village in the US. I don't know if you're familiar with that concept. So I think that's a good.
Just to add something to that quickly. So the main reason I believe we put this together, we're looking at outcomes for all of you. So if you're coming here to the US and you're spending your time, your money, and your effort in the next year or longer, depending on the time frame you're going to be in the program, you're looking at your outcome. And for us, we're hoping to either get you connected to industry for an internship so you can start to gain real work experience, or long-term to get a job. And part of, I think, what Adriana didn't discuss is the fact that that's already starting to happen. So Cleveland Clinic was another organization. They've hired 3 of our students for summer internships, so they'll start to gain that experience. Marcus Thomas is looking to hire 2 of them. They're in the final round of interviews. Eric from our program was connected to a company. He's already been hired full-time for a job upon graduation. So it's the connecting you with industry and getting you comfortable. Most of you won't be familiar with what companies are in Cleveland, Ohio, or even Akron, like Goodyear. So what we're trying to do not only is with the mentorship program connecting you to industry, but getting you a leg up on your competition as you enter the workforce. And it's really starting to work well, I think. Some of the other opportunities they have are, Adriana mentioned the one-on-one meetings. Some of the students have gone in groups of 2 or 3 to Goodyear or Progressive to get tours, to get a better idea. And these partnerships, we've had, I think, 2 different tours with Marcus Thomas and Sapient Razorfish to kind of go in, spend half a day, learn more about how they're using the things you had mentioned in the first question, the certain items you're learning in the program and how they're applied at different companies, because different companies are using different software or different tactics to get to the answer. And then you get to where Kyla talked about, once you get there, it's how you tell the story and how things are applied. So this is kind of a holistic approach now to get you guys a better start when you decide to either get an internship after the summer or go full-time into the workforce.
Why don't you guys talk about your mentor and what company they work for?
Well, my mentor has a really funny story. He actually comes from Sapient Razorfish, and after a few months, because inside the program we have the Sapient Razorfish and also Progressive, and then he just jumped to the Progressive company. But besides that, I think there's always has a great talk with my mentor to hear his experience and his thought about my career. I think Randall has more stories to tell.
My mentor works in Progressive. She has been digital analytics, for like more than 20 years. So she's very experienced in this area, and so she would like to share what she faces in her daily work with me. So like, besides the sharing of working experience, she will also help me like revise my resume and give me some suggestions about my future career goal. And she was also like show me around the Cleveland, like where is the good restaurants or something like that, and help me in. And she also invited me to her Thanksgiving dinner to her house. So it's like a very like awesome mentor that I met. So that's I think the highlight of our program that will help you to get fit into the American society better and faster.
And you have a internship with the Cleveland Clinic?
Yes, I have just received an offer from Cleveland Clinic for the summer internship. So I'm going to should I talk about like my interview or something? So basically, I just submitted my resume to Professor Singh, and he connected the Cleveland Clinic for us. So I was selected into the interview, and during the interview, it was like so for the first part of the interview, so they introduced it is business intelligence department. So they have like about 60 or 70 people in that team. So basically, they would do some the visualizations of the business process, and they would do some process improvement to help, broadly to say, it is to help the patients to be served better in the hospital. So after the introduction of his team, so I was required to ask questions to show my thoughtful insights. So basically, I just throw up several questions that I have for these industries, because I feel like the one questions that I throw up is like, since some fancy machine learning algorithm is really a bust in these days, so how your team is balancing the very curved learning scales and the very fancy algorithm. So basically, they tell me that they are trying to lower the barrier for their employees to use those high technical skills. They're trying to have a more easy way for them to use the skills they use SaaS platform to make everything easier for them. So we talk about this for like 20 minutes. And after that, he asked me about one of my internship projects that I have on my resume. So we talk about what I did in that internship and what I found and what I used and they are going to how they going they think of my internship experiences about that. So basically, that's all my interview process. And after a week, I got some positive feedback from them, and probably that's my story. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can talk in general. We had, I think, 6 students who were chosen to interview, and I think the feedback that they received was very positive. And I think, Rongfeng was saying, as far as his questions, they kind of singled him out. So they're very intuitive and thoughtful, and that was something that impressed them about the interview process. So I think, the fact that a lot of our students were able to get in front and start the interview process and gain practice to that helps them for the next time as well. For the 3 who got chosen, for the 3 positions, the other 3, I think now we're possibly getting their resumes passed along by the same people to another group in the clinic who is interested in talking to them.
I'll ask them if they have any more questions.
All right, guys. That was a lot about employment information. I'm excited. What else do you guys want to hear about? Feel free to wave and unmute yourself and chat with us.
Maybe she's typing.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody have a question? Okay. Hi,
Okay, thank
Ruhan.
you.
Go ahead.
Okay,
We can
thank
hear you.
Okay, thank you. And as you mentioned about the mentorship program, and I want to ask a question because as I heard before, and there are many areas and many fields we can choose. Is that true? And what kind of preparation maybe we should to do before we choose our because such as different area we have to choose or something else? Can you understand what
Sure.
I said? Because
Yeah, I think so. So I think as you take classes, you'll figure out what certain items about a class you like and what skills you're learning. Because I work with the 2 programs, quite often we'll have students that say, you know what, program isn't my thing, in the supply chain, so they'll go more into a supply chain focused position. But in this program, I think you get exposure to companies and what they do, as I mentioned, through some of the tours that we do at the facilities and interacting and learning about how the companies actually do the day-to-day work. So there's certain things about that and how companies go and what companies interact with people. So in business intelligence, in his case, with the Cleveland Clinic, it's going to be healthcare focused. If you're talking about Sapient Razorfish or Marcus Thomas, they're more digital marketing and they're focused on certain industries. I think when we did the tour, they gave an example about Libby's, which is a consumer-based goods company that they interact with, who was doing a marketing campaign around Thanksgiving and the selling of pumpkin pie filling, okay? And all the different ways they went to market and all the different ways they captured the results to see what was positive, what didn't work. So they get very granular at the technical level as far as measuring the data. And then, as Kyla talked about, it's then telling the company what they did right, what they did wrong, and how they could get better in the future. It just depends. I mean, a lot of our students have gone into positions that would be more of a business analyst. So you could work in manufacturing as a business analyst. You could work in a different type of analyst position. It just depends. I think Kyla, if you want to talk a little bit about how you gained exposure at Dealer Tires through your internship, and then assuming since you accepted the role to stay on full time, what you liked about the role, whether or not you were in the same department you got hired in on, that might help Runhan, as far as his question as well.
You guys can hear me all right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm through, I got a conference call open just because I know my connection's shoddy, so.
Sorry, we can hear you. Yeah.
Yes, we're good.
No.
Can you hear me right now? No,
Yes.
no.
Yes.
Stop muting yourself.
Oh, okay, I see. I get it. I get what's happening now.
Okay.
I thought I was muting my computer and talking through the conference call, but you're muting my conference call through the computer.
Yes.
How nutty is that? That's pretty crazy. Okay. So you guys can hear me like really loud if I do that, right?
Yes, we're good.
Okay. All right, sick. Yeah, so my internship at Dealer Tire, it helped that when I interviewed and started at Dealer Tire, and I don't want to overestimate this, but I believe it was 7 of the 10 members of my team were Case alumni. So that was a good starting point. Three of them went through the ORSC program, which is very similar. I'm not going to say very similar. It's the most similar to the business analytics program as far as specialty master's programs at Case. And when I came in, I interviewed with them. I chatted about what we were working on and what we were doing. They interviewed a couple other people from my program. And they settled on a couple of us to start interning early January during my last semester at Case. And, you know, work-school balance, it was perfect. They were going to let us do about 12 to 15 hours a week. It was super flexible. Everything worked great as far as that went. But as far as like what I learned and how I was able to like transition to a full-time role, they put me on projects like immediately. They put me on relevant projects almost immediately, which I could dedicate all 12 or 15 hours of my week that I was working here on. And these projects were building out, fleshing out tools within programming languages, which unfortunately I had never worked with before prior to starting here. But they gave me the space to learn on the job and to kind of work my way through it and struggle and fail just every single turn, learning along the way like crazy. I mean, I must have made a trillion mistakes in like my first couple months, but it was just kind of this open-ended learning thing that they allowed me to do. And I think they had gone through, my management and leadership team had kind of gone through the same thing where they started out entry-level analysts. You're not familiar with the data. You're not familiar with the sources. You don't really know the lingo. But they give you that space. They know you have the technical and analytical capability. They give you that space. And what it turns into is useful things. And they realize that you have this utility about you. And it's backed by the things that you learned in the program. And the end result is just this weird, like all of a sudden you've learned all this information. You have the learning agility to learn it really fast. And then your invaluability, like all of a sudden you're invaluable to the company and they just don't let you leave. And that's not a bad thing. They just want to hold on to you. They want to hold on to the talent. They recognize what you learned in the program. They recognize that you're educated to that next tier. And they understand that you're able to pick up this information and these strategies super quickly. It made it feel really rewarding. It made the program feel really rewarding. Like it got me to this weird pinnacle, and I'm just gonna keep growing and evolving from there. But I ended up in a kind of a bizarre situation. It all just settled in. You know, everybody at Case working behind the scenes for me in my corner, and ended up in a place that really valued me and somewhere I really like to work. And so, now I'm working a lot. So it's pretty cool.
So I think just to talk about the program, like our program is kind of focused on 2 functional areas, the marketing and operations. But we are not focusing on a particular industry. Like every company has marketing issues, every company has operations issues. So we have people working in healthcare, people working in manufacturing, marketing companies, social media companies. So we are not, so the tools and techniques you get from the programs, they are very broad. Okay? So yes, they are more applicable to operational issues and marketing issues, but every company has those issues now. So we are not gearing only for one particular kind of companies. So the mentors we have, they come from all different kind of companies. Progressive is an insurance company. Cleveland Clinic is a healthcare kind of company. So we are very broad that way.
Right, for sure. I mean, I work in sales. I'm a salesman, actually, kind of. No, I work in a sales operations team, and you're exactly right. I mean, it makes sense where the skill set fits into that manufacturing realm. And it certainly makes sense where a lot of like the hypothesis testing and statistics are starting to become really popular in the marketing realm. But I think it's that those two industries, they make this very overt, they make their attraction to these tools and these processes very obvious, very overt. Hey, we're really embracing analytics now. And I think part of that is because they were late to adopt these things. They feel like they're showing up, those two realms of study and research feel that they're showing up maybe just a hair late. And I think that you can sell this program, you can sell this degree in almost any business function. I mean, it just applies universally across the entire company. We have requests at Dealer Tire for our sales operations team, an analytics team in one corner of the company. We have requests from every business function to do cuts and slices and views of data and analytics and present them. And it's almost frustrating how much we're leaned on, because the demand is so high in every corner of the company to understand the numbers and to have evidence to back up what people thought or felt for the last dozen years of business and industry experience, for the last 20 years. And so it's finally putting those numbers to backing up what you're saying or refuting what you're saying. And like you said, it exists everywhere. It's proliferating like crazy.
Awesome. Well, thanks for the question, Ronan. Do you have any more? Anybody else?
Yes, I have another question because as you see, we came from China and maybe interview is a big question for us, and you see it's not very easy for us to express us very well. Can we have some lessons such as helping us how to improve our skills in interviews and in communication in our school? Or
Sure, yeah. So there is a service provided at no cost to you by the school that allows you to work with our English department. It's called Tutor Track, and you can sign up for it and go for one-on-one sessions, roughly I think about a half hour at a time, speaking with a native speaker on spoken English. And that's available through the university. You know, when you get here, we can give you information like that. But I think, you know, you're going to have a lot of opportunities. And I understand, because I've been doing this for about a little over 5 years now, specifically with our Chinese students, there's a cultural difference as far as how you learn, how you interact in the classroom. So we will encourage you, once you get here from, you know, the first day, to raise your hand and ask questions and interact. And I can tell you, over the year or a year and a half that you're here, depending on what you choose, students really grow in their language skills. You'll work with me personally one-on-one. We have people in our career management office that'll help you with your resume review and what we call mock interviews, getting you ready for the actual interviews. And all of that will start to build confidence. You know, you'll feel comfortable after you've done it for a while, then the confidence grows. And with your confidence, that's what actually helps you get the job. But in the classroom, it's the interacting with the professors. So if you have Professor Kamlesh and he's asking a question and everybody's sitting on their hands and not raising their hands to ask a question, that's not going to help him. That's not going to help the rest of the people in the room learn. Everybody, for the most part, is going to be in the same, you know, position you are, or they're not 100% confident in their spoken English. So don't feel bad. I mean, it's sometimes, you know, as native speakers, we struggle for the right word to express what we're trying to say. So, you know, everybody just expects you to do your best, and you'll continue to grow throughout the program. But yes, there are a lot of different ways you can grow, and I think, you know, we can have the current students talk to you about it. But from what I've seen, you know, this year, I think 33% of the program as domestic students. So they're speaking English. The interacting with the other students, that's going to help you and kind of force you to speak English more often. And I think all that's going to have you grow, you know, with your language skills and your confidence in your speaking.
And I think one of the role of mentorship program is to build your communication skill, how to talk in a professional way. And
right. So like, for example, I'm originally from Mexico, so English is not I think a lot of here, like, you know, so I've definitely have lived through that difference. And I've been in interviews where I'm like, I'm sorry, I cannot find the right English word, but this is what I'm trying to say. And I explain it in a different way. So there's always ways, and people always are willing to give you a couple minutes for you to gather your thoughts, or like if you miss the English words, at least in my experience. I've also been through case interviews where, you know, you're doing math and you're doing a lot of things. And I always just say, like, give me a couple minutes, I'm gonna do this math in Spanish real quickly because I'm faster, right? I mean, and people understand, and then you go back, you know, and you explain to English everything that you did, like, but it's okay to take that little, like, moment. And, you know, dealing with emails and being how succinct or how much elaborate you have to be, that's all things that the mentor can help you with. And it's why we're kind of putting the mentee or the, like, student in charge of that relationship, because it forces you to reach out. It forces you to write emails. It forces you to put yourself in that situation where you have to be in contact, either speaking or writing, you know, so, and really, like, you know, it's a safe space where you can make a mistake where you're like you're writing an email, and it's okay if you made a mistake, because that person has your best interest at heart. So they're going to give you feedback, or they can help you grow, or, you know, they're never going to be like, you did this wrong. No, it's like, maybe this is the best way you can go about it. So I think that's a really good thing about the mentorship program. It helps you in so many ways, and sometimes you don't even realize it, that you're growing in that area until, like, someone points it out at you. So, and, you know, it's just also from a simple thing, you know, like, while a lot of the students here a lot of them maybe come from China, or a lot of come from wherever they come from. Even if you're from the same country, being here and pushing yourself to talk in English with them, like, you know, that's going to make a difference. Like, you know, I understand there's some moments where you want to speak your native language, and that's totally fine, but you're here, and having that opportunity to challenge yourself and to constantly be speaking in English, no matter, like, who you're talking with, I think that's going to help you so much more, and it's going to take your English skills way beyond.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
you. Want to add something? Your experience?
Yeah, because there are many chances that in classes, I mean, you have to present, you have to work in teams that are not fully Chinese students, and you have to present yourself during the classes. You have to speak really. You don't have to be like fluently or very like natively, but you have to be clear. Your conversation does not have to be like contain many sophisticated words, but it has to be clear. Like what Adriana said during my interview, I clearly remember that there was one moment that I missed the word that I want to say. So I directly changed I opened up a whole new sentences and re-illustrate what I want to say. So that's totally fine. And if you stuck for a couple of seconds, that's totally fine, because they understand English is not your native language, so it's perfect fine. But you still need to improve your English, subjectively, because it is your way to like survive here.
Yeah, I see. Thank you very much. And one little question maybe I want to ask, because I want to know, is that very difficult for us to do the homework first? Because I know that the kind of the homework is totally different in China and in United States, because we do exercise more, and maybe in United States I heard about that there are maybe a lot of group work or some paper. So I want to know something more about this.
Yeah, maybe you guys should talk
That's
about
a good
it.
idea.
Thank you.
Like,
Thank you very much.
I think the homework are fine because we work in groups. So if you have any questions, you can just discuss with your teammates. And also the professors in the class, they will tell you all the things that you want to know and what's the criteria for the homework and what you should do. So as soon as you listen to the class, I think you are fine.
I think the
Okay,
workload is not very suffering, but yeah, there are some difference between like the form of exercises or assignment between Chinese and Americans in universities. So basically, in our programs, we have courses that whose assignments are like doing exercises like we did because they are like more technical optimization courses. But most of our courses are focused on building up a reports. So you are required to simulate yourself as a manager or as an analyst to write a report for your management. So basically, I feel like there was some time that you are going to transmit from totally a exerciser solver to a reporter. So that would take some time, but it's fine, I think.
Yeah, I think that one big difference will be that we want you to write, not just numbers. So how you express your results is very important. So that will be probably a big difference. So like for me, when I came from India, coming from an engineering background, going from numbers to words is a big switch.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way. I'm also come from an engineering background, and it's definitely pushed me to like write more and be better and communicate my ideas clearer. I mean, I'm still working on it. There are some things that I still, but a lot of like presentation skills, like if you think about it, once you start working, that's what you're going to be doing. So that's what this program is preparing about. I mean, the analytic, the solving is just going to be the base. Everyone considered for that position is going to have that base. So that's why there's such an emphasis in presenting in teamwork, because those are the soft skills that are going to eventually help you in your internship and in the work. And that is what is going to help you to be more successful, and you know the company wants to keep you and stuff. So I think having that, really putting yourself out there where you constantly have to like speak and say and translate the numbers into words, into actions. That's really what I feel like this program is going to be really helpful for. And that's like work, right? That's what you're going to be doing, right? So it's not just grabbing a notebook and solving the problem, but it's actually how you communicate and you go about it and how you interact with others. And I think this program really helps in get students successful in those areas as well.
Okay. Thank you very much. And maybe I will give time to other students. Thank you.
Awesome. These are great questions, guys. And I know we've filled a lot of time helping you guys answer them, but anybody else have any other questions? I see. We haven't heard from you today. How are you?
Good, but I'm now in Denver and it's really early in the morning. It makes me lose my voice. I think that. Like,
oh my goodness! Well, thank you for waking up so early for
yeah, like that.
What can we help you with?
Yeah, I think I'm more interested in the internship, and I want to know how your students like how to. Is that internship during the semester or is that in the break time, like winter break or summer break? Because I'm not here for school, and my class is kind of gathered, and I don't have time to, because the internship has their requirement for maybe you should appear at the company for 20 hours, but I have classes in each days, and it's hard to get a proper internship to connect to work with your students' schedule. So I want to know how your students kind of.
Sure.
Yeah.
Real quick question. What term have you applied for, the summer start date or the fall start date?
fall start date.
Well, okay. So the way that that's structured for you is you will start with the fall and the spring semester. You'll have the summer available to do an internship, and then you'll finalize in the a second fall semester, and then you graduate. So if you apply for the fall program, you'll have that summer period where you could take up an internship or so. And I think these guys will be better at explaining. Probably Matt should talk about the internships, but you have summertime at least to work on that.
Yeah, sure.
Which school are you currently attending?
I'm now in University of Colorado, Denver.
Okay, so I wanted to ask, and I thought you had said you got up early in Denver. So being an international student who's already here in the US, you don't have to wait as far as internships, so you could start immediately if you wanted to. The program is set up, I believe, with Thursdays and Fridays available.
No, only for this semester.
In the fall semester, so that you could work at that point on Thursdays and Fridays, which would allow you, roughly 15 hours to work there. Most companies are fairly flexible, and depending on when the classes are, you may be able to find a third day if you're looking to do 20 hours. We always suggest against doing that the very first semester, that interning at all, because you need to hit the ground running in the first semester. Make sure you do well, because a lot of stuff builds from that. As Meredith mentioned, the summertime, if you happen to be doing the program as you are, it's ideal to work the semester before to get a summer internship, so you can gain that work experience. Then you'll have that last semester that you could either continue to work there for a few hours a week, whether it's 10, 15, or 20 hours, or just to pare it back and then keep in touch with that company and look at your full-time job search. But there's many different ways depending on which start date you have, and then if you start in the summertime and you want to continue, we now have that option where you could continue and intern in May and finish in early August. So that there's definitely 2 or 3 different options now to allow you guys time to gain experience, as well as Kyla had mentioned earlier, some of that work experience you'll learn in the classroom, working with the mentors, learning more that way, but the actual hands-on work experience, you'll still have time to do a summer internship.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I like to hear that.
And you heard with Kyler too, he was able to work at Dealer Tire as an internship in the spring semester, and they were kind of flexible around his class scheduling too. So as Matt mentioned, a lot of these places are very flexible, so it is possible to find something that can work around your class schedule, as well as the time we've actually allowed you, to go ahead and take an internship during the around the class hours and such. So you'll find that the structure is a little bit more appealing in that aspect versus an undergraduate program where you tend to have a lot of more individualistic classes.
And going back to the mentorship program, a lot of the companies that we're working with on the mentorships may be that same organization that hires you for an internship. Therefore, they're very well versed in the timing and are flexible based on the relationship they've built with Professor Singh and the program in general. So as we have repeat customers, if you will, companies we're working with for a second and third time, they understand how it works. They understand the rigors of your classes, and they try to fit it in so it works, more easy for you and for them.
Well, that's great. Yeah, thanks.
Sure. Do you have any other questions?
No, not for now.
Okay. Anybody else have any other questions?
I think Julian just waited.
Oh, yep, he did. Okay. Go ahead. Okay.
No. Well, as mentioned, our program has 3 timing, 2 11 months and 1 16 months. And do you can you explain the difference between them, and
Sure.
Would you recommend one of them?
Well, which one have you applied for?
16.
Okay, so as of this year is the first year we've expanded it to have a fall and a summer start date. We've previously just had it be a summer start date where the students come in, they start in, I'm just gonna mute you for a second so I don't get feedback. So the students, will start in the summer in July. They'll have a short summer term. They'll start most of their classes in the fall and then can finish up in the spring. And then now we've offered a fall start date. It's the same structure of the program. You just start a little bit later. So some of the classes will have summer start date only. Some of them will be fall start date only, but most of the classes will have everyone combined. So it's just, you're structured a little bit differently. It's the same 3 credit hours. It's the same tuition. It's the same everything, just spread out a little bit. So as mentioned, in the fall, it would be a fall, spring, fall term, with the summer open then to then take an internship. We've also extended an option to the students who take the summer class. If they start in the summer and then if they find an internship before February, like Rando has done, they can actually delay their graduation by 3 months. And instead of graduating in May, they'll graduate in August, and they'll then be able to take that internship still being here as a student.
And the key to that is you're using your CPT versus your OPT. And as a STEM program, you're going to have 3 years of OPT, but you get that extension built into the program if you take that option of an extra 3 months using your CPT.
Right. So it gives you a little bit more time, especially if you're looking for that OPT. But all in all, in terms of the core, like the curriculum, it's really the same. You'll just see some of your classes will just be whomever starts with you in the same term, but most of your classes will be combined throughout the fall and the spring.
And I'll give you my personal view because I've worked with the other program for 5 years. There are pros and cons of both. Almost the ideal spot might be the 11-month program and doing the summer extension and graduating in August. But anything you choose is going to be a good option now because you have the time to get an internship. The very first year was more difficult because we did not have that option. And I think depending on when you enter the marketplace in the US, if you're looking to stay here and work full-time, getting that work experience first is the key. So whether you do it over the summer as an extension from the 11 months or you do it over the summer in the 16-month program, either are great options. You just need to do it to get the work experience.
No. Does that help give you the explanation of the differences a little bit clearer?
Yes. Well,
Okay.
I have another question. What kind of department, like business analysts or data analysts working in the firm? Because all kinds of functions in the companies, they might require some data analysis, analytics.
Sure.
And so, will they work in a certain department like marketing, or they may set up some like business intelligence?
So yes, yeah, a lot of our first year students, that's the only data we have to go on, went into roles where they had the title of business analyst, so fairly general, doing analysis for the entire business. Some specifically worked as data analysts. Some might have been in marketing, as you said, depending on the firm. It may be digital marketing. It may be straight marketing where they're not as digitally focused, but I think some of the partnerships we have are like that. It also depends. I think Rando had mentioned some work within continuous improvement. So it just depends. I mean, there's analyst positions all over organizations. The supply chain has many people in analyst roles, whether they're a procurement analyst, whether they're a supply chain analyst. You get into the transportation of the finished goods. You have logistics, all of that. It just depends. The skills you're learning are transferable, and they can, help you gain employment through all those departments that I mentioned. Some students may go further on and decide that they want to become a data scientist and take more in-depth in some of the skills you're learning here and work their way towards that a few years outside the program. So there's definitely different options for you. Some of our students have ended up more in marketing roles because of our relationships we have. That's where they've started, but most of the students go into business analyst roles so far.
I think Kyler mentioned that he might have some insight as well as if he wants to weigh in on that. I don't know if Kyler can hear us or wants to join us, but.
He's still muted, right? The phone.
Kyler, can you hear us? Yes.
Hey, can you hear me? All right, cool. Sorry, my video is just cutting in and out, so I'm going to turn it off for now. But if everybody can hear me, it's a good question. I think the program, the MSM-BA, really builds on everybody's background. So I think where you feel like you're going to fit in a company is going to depend partially on your background, your work experience, and what you did for your undergrad. I can tell you that you can kind of bend the program a little bit, and you can tackle the projects within the program differently based on your background. So if you were a computer science undergrad, for example, had a lot of programming experience, you might incorporate that into your projects during the program, and then it would also probably be deterministic in where you end up landing in a company. But I can tell you that a dealer tire, it's my one and only example, but a dealer tire, there are analyst roles for which I felt qualified after completing the program in all of the following and then some: finance, supply chain, marketing, sales, distribution and logistics, which is partially under supply chain, but a little bit separate. Program management, which would be like contractual obligations and how we're dealing with our customers. Like Matt said, the roles and the actions you take in the program and the things that you learn are very transferable, and they're general enough to be applied across these different industries. Even though we use accounting, we use marketing and operations as kind of those pivots or those learning platforms. It's just you could land anywhere where your interests and your skills align. And so if you want to take a technical route and you want to reach for that data science role post graduation, then you're going to want to, from start to finish during the program, you're going to want to kind of move in that direction. You're going to want to try to be more technical with the problems that you come across. You're going to want to implement some advanced tools or methods or processes, algorithms, or whatever you can get your hands on and wrap your brain around. That's going to be very deterministic in where you end up landing. As the program's conclusion, of course, the internship, obviously, if you participate in one, will weigh in on that as well. But qualify for many different roles in many different realms and industries. But it's really what you make of it and how you leverage your background to determine whether you qualify for more technical or perhaps a more I don't want to say not technical, but storytelling kind of a more qualitative role. I would say I probably fall into a more qualitative role right now. I deal with salespeople. They want to hear the story. They want to know what they thought in their head is backed up by the numbers. The data science team at Dealer Tire would be more of that technical role, where they are leveraging their computer science history and their programming experience to build tools for the rest of the company to use. So it, again, just depends on your background, really, and what you're interested in doing and how you leverage the program.
Awesome. Thank you, Kyla. I appreciate that.
Sure.
So I know we're at 10 o'clock. Just want to make sure if you guys have any other questions, I encourage you to email me. And if it's something directly for any of our team members here, let me know, and I would be more than happy to pass on your question to them, because I know we each carry different strengths to help kind of get your questions answered. But thank you so much for joining us. Kyler, special thank you to you for joining us all the way from Dealer Tire, for your expertise. We're happy to have you as an alum. So if anybody else needs anything, like I said, get a hold of me, but thank you for joining us today. And we really look forward to meeting you guys in person, either summer or fall. So have a great rest of your day, and Happy New Year to you guys.
Bye.
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 Take care, everybody.
Thanks, Kyler.